Andrew, how's it going, man?
Not bad at all.
Wicked. Thank you very much for being on my podcast, The Roger Snipes Show. It's been a long time. So, what was the first time I met you? It was in Muscle Mania. Was it before Muscle Mania? Or was it in Muscle Mania?
It may have been with was it Miami Pro at the time?
Oh, wow. Miami Pro. Because I remember I competed in Miami Pro in 2000. Well, no. So the lady Angie Weston, who was running Miami Pro, she used to run a show called Fame UK.
Fame.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
Fame.
Yeah, I think that's one where we met. Fame.
Really?
I think so.
And then again in Muscle Mania?
Muscle Mania.
Okay. So Fame UK and then Muscle Mania. That was 2000 September 2011, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. And what shows did you do before that that competition there? So there was Fame UK.
Before that I did do, I think my first show was BNBF. And I remember at the time, and my partner at the time, she wasn't really into bodybuilding.
All right.
And she said to me, if you place 5th place or below, knock it on the head. Don't do any more bodybuilding ever.
Really? Oh my God. Wow.
And I came 4th.
Oh, so you scraped it then, yeah?
Scraped it.
So your relationship persisted because of that.
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard anything like that. I think in terms of relationships, I've heard where it can be quite tough where, you know, because when it comes to the dieting, sometimes partners, they can't deal with the dieting and how strict it is. Maybe if there's some mood swings or something like that, like, you know, relationships break because of that.
Yeah.
What's your take on that? What's your thoughts on that? Have you had an issue in your relationship where it's something to do with your competing at all? Like where maybe you've had to dedicate so much time to your training or your diet may be affecting your mood or it's too boring for the household or anything like that? Have you had anything like that in a previous relationship before?
Yeah, well, I was in that relationship for a long time, and initially, there were a lot of hiccups. I think possibly if I could go back in time, I'd probably get somebody to help me prep, because a lot of the issue was around me prepping and making sure that I was doing things correctly. I wasn't doing things correctly all the time, so maybe at times I was going into overkill when I didn't necessarily have to. So if I had the guidance, I probably wouldn't have to be as strict as I, thought I needed to be. You know, a lot of guys now, they have, because I didn't know about cheat meals when I first started.
Right.
I didn't know
about that, bro. That's survival. That's facility.
Well, as far as I was concerned, it was 24/7, 7 days a week. You on your diet, you know.
You learn about the cheat meal before the diet. Oh man. Okay.
No, it was just 24/7. So, I was pretty strict. To be fair, she bared with me, and she did support me. Even though she wasn't happy about what I was doing, and it can be quite selfish. And at times my head wasn't at home. My head was either at the gym or on stage, or so it did have an impact on the relationship. And I do think that if I could turn back time, there's a lot of things I would have done differently. And I think at the end of the day, you do have to wonder whether your relationship, is it worth your relationship? And that's something I would encourage people to think about, because when you get to 50, 60 years old, you won't be on stage, and that person will still be there if you're lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. It is definitely something to think about. And I think the diet is a true test as to whether the relationship will survive, to be honest, because that'll probably be one of the hardest times. There's other points in a relationship, but dieting and just the mindset you have to go through, the stress, the potential arguments, it's insane. Anyway, okay, so before Muscle Mania, what competitions did you do before then?
Well, I did BNBF. I did UK DFBA. I don't know if you heard of that one.
Yes, I've heard of that one. Yeah.
What else did I do?
What does that stand for, DFBA?
UK. Is it drug?
You get drugs for free. I
I
want to join.
I think it's something to do with drug testing, the drug testing federation. So it's supposed to say that everybody in the competition is lifetime natural.
Okay. And did you ever compete in UK BFF? No, not UK BFF. My bad. No, what's the other one? BNBF.
Yeah, I did BNBF. That's the first one I did where I came fourth.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So BNBF, that's another natural federation, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So they go. What sort of tests do they do there? I understand that. Do they do a urinal test there?
At BNBF, I didn't get any tests.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the only competition that tested me, and it was a polygraph test.
Mm-hmm.
That was the UK DFBA.
Oh, right. Okay.
Other than that, I never got tested by any organization. So
with the polygraph test, do you have something like wired up to your head and to your wrist? And how does it work exactly?
Yeah, you have some wires stuck on you, and they didn't put anything on my head. I think it's just on my arms and just taking my pulse to see if my pulse changed when they asked me all these ridiculously stupid questions.
Are you male? Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Because I've heard about it and I'm like, wow, because to me it seems like something which you would get like on a interrogation, like where you're wired up and ask some questions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you are a IFBB Pro.
Yep.
When did you get your pro title?
I got my pro title October last year, October the 7th. And but I did win the British title, the UK BFF British title in 2016. Right. However, they weren't giving pro cards to classic bodybuilders at that point. I think it was the next year they decided to give classic bodybuilders a pro card. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Wow. So for all your hard work, you would never get a pro card if you was a classic bodybuilder. Is that the way it worked?
That's up until then, yeah. Yeah.
Why did they feel at the time that it wasn't worth having a pro card for someone who is in the classic division?
I think there was a lot of conflict between the Americans and the British organization in terms of the UK BFF. So the UK BFF is the British organization, and the American organization is called the NPC.
Okay.
So they're both amateur organizations to the IFBB Pro. So if you win at NPC in America, if you win a Classic Physique NPC in America, you become a IFBB Pro. But at the time in the UK weren't doing that. They had their own reasons, and I think possibly what it was is that they wanted athletes. This is my opinion. I think they wanted athletes to just keep competing.
Right.
And the more athletes who competed year round, the more money they would make. So if athletes were competing and and getting pro status, there would be less athletes competing.
Right.
So the more athletes they could keep in their stable and keep loyal to competing on a year-round basis, the more money they would make. And America weren't really happy with the way the UK were running the UK arm of the NPC, or the UK BFF. So
Okay.
they split in 2017. They split. So in 2017, you could either have a IFBB Pro card or a UK BFF Elite Pro card.
Which means,
So
what,
the
is it the
elite,
same thing?
no,
No. Okay.
no. With an IFBB Pro card, so if I win a pro show now, I'll get to compete at Mr. Olympia.
Okay.
So that's the one everybody wants to compete at Mr. Olympia.
Mm.
With the UK BFF Pro Elite card, you still just compete at shows and go around to different countries competing at shows, paying your membership, paying your show fee, and filling their pockets with money.
So what's the benefit from doing that exactly? What is the benefit? Why do people actually do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why? Why? What's the goal?
Well, apparently, I mean, if you accumulate enough points, you get some money at the end of the year.
Right. Okay.
But
And if you don't, then.
But that's when you spent all your money on hotels and tanning and for shows, and so you're shelling out.
When you become a pro,
yeah,
do they pay for you to compete in places? Like, do they cover any expenses? Like if you travel somewhere, like, I don't know, Madrid, or I don't know, Barcelona, or, those sort of things, or do you have to cover the cost yourself? Or what do they cover when you're a pro?
Well, as an IFBB Pro, they don't cover. The IFBB doesn't cover anything.
Okay.
I'm lucky enough to have a sponsor who will pay for my shows. So technically, all I have to pay for is flights and accommodation. So, and I think with the shows that you compete at, usually the top 5 will win some kind of prize money. I think the minimum top 5 is probably £2,000.
Okay.
So if you win your pro show, win and get to the Olympia, then you start making money. You can make a living. But I think people have to be realistic, and you have to look at how good you technically are, and if you can get to that level, where could you go? And if you can, win a competition, you have to really ask yourself, can I win a competition?
Yeah.
And if the answer is yes, then the possibilities are you can make some money.
Okay. And okay, let's say for instance you make it to the Olympia. What's the grand total? What's the biggest prize you can get on the Olympia stage?
Well, I think at the Olympia, they're still trying to get the men's classic bodybuilders to have even I'd say a third of what they get as the open bodybuilders. So I think that the classic physique, they probably get about £20,000 as the winner.
All right.
Whereas the winner of the open bodybuilding, I think they get £400,000.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
But
and along with that, you get the prestige of winning, but also, you do get a lot more sponsorships. You get people who will, support you financially in your career. So
when you say the open, that's the guys who are like crazy heavy.
Yeah, crazy huge. Yeah.
Right. And there's a lot more chances of sponsors in that one as well, yeah?
Yeah, there is.
So in becoming a pro, like how many shows did you have to do? Because you said you were competing as in classic UKBFF, was it?
Yep.
And
Right.
with that, you couldn't become a pro or something?
Well, they weren't giving pro cards with the UKBFF at the time I was competing.
Right.
So in order for me to get a pro card and ultimately get to competing at the Mr. Olympia, I had to switch to the American organization.
Right.
They call it the NPC in America. So what they do, they brought it over here, but they've called it Two Bros Pro.
Right.
Which is the American version of the NPC. So if you compete with Two Bros Pro and win your pro card, then you can compete at the Olympia.
Right. Okay.
So
how many shows did you have to do to get your pro card with the Two Bros Pro?
Right. So technically, I only had to do one show.
A single show, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The reason I say that is because they have the Amateur Olympia, and if you win at the Amateur Olympia, then you automatically get your pro card.
Right.
With Two Bros Pro, what they did last year, they had regional shows, and from the regional show, if you won the regional, then you go on to the British final, and then if you won the British final, you'd get a pro card.
Right.
So last year they had, I'd say, 2 opportunities to win a pro card. But it's funny because last year I did a regional show in September, and I placed 7th in the regional show. And I was really upset. I was going to give up. I was driving home with my friend, and I was like, this is it, man. It's over. I'm knocking it on the head. No more shows for me, because if I can't even win my category, I didn't even win my category in a regional show. So you had category A, B, C, and D. And in my category, I placed 7th. So all the guys who won the category, they come together, and then they win. Then one person wins the overall, and they go on to the British final.
Got you.
So I didn't even place top 5 in my category. So I was distraught, and I had 2 choices, because 4 weeks later there was the Amateur Olympia, and I thought to myself, I'm in shape. I may as well give it one last go. Train hard. And it's ironic, Roger, because in 2016, when I won the British title, that year my mum passed away. And my head was really into my training. My head was buried into my training. I trained like a beast. Yeah. And then I won the British. So I decided between the show, the 7th of September, and the show, the 6th of October, I'm going to train like it was 2016 again.
Right.
So I got my head down, and I just trained and trained. I did an hour's cardio in the morning, then weights. So I was in the gym for 2 hours in the morning. Then I'd go back in the evening, same thing, hours cardio, weights. And I was doing that every single day for the 4 weeks. And then I got to the Amateur Olympia, and I saw Mark Hector. Have you heard, Mark Hector?
Mark Hector? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, he was backstage. Mark Hector, he went out to Q8 the other day. He's come back, but he's a new IFBB Pro, and
okay,
he's a new IFBB Pro. So he 1 second.
Good.
Yeah, you got everything?
Everything.
Okay. Cheers. Yeah. So yeah, he's a new IFBB Pro, and I met Mark years ago at Body Power, and I just felt you know, he turned pro the year before. I just felt like it was not going to happen for me that day. And I was warming up backstage, and the guy who won the regional 4 weeks before, I saw him. He was in my category again. Right. So I was like, wow, my gosh.
Oh, God. Yeah.
And so I thought to myself, you know, I'm just going to enjoy this and make the most of it, and then just go home, eat some cake and chill out.
I've had that feeling before after a show.
Yeah.
Or before a show.
I went on stage, and when they was doing they put me in the first call out, and in my head I was like, this must be a mistake. Because they put me right next to the guy who had won 4 weeks before. He was right in the middle. Then they changed me for the guy who had won the 4 weeks before, and put me in the middle. And I was like, what the hell is going on? So I was like, you know what? And I think, if I'm honest, most of the guys on stage, I've got 20 years on them. Right. You know, so I think from my perspective, I'm not nervous. I'm just like, all right, let's just do this. So I was posing. I remember the guy, he was sweating, man. He was just pouring me water. And I was like, come on, man, just enjoy it, man. Just be cool. Because I didn't think I was going to beat him anyway. So I was like, you know, let's just do this, man. Just enjoy it. And then when they called my name later, I just couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. I couldn't believe 4 weeks before, I'd placed 7th in a regional. And then now I've won my category, and I'm going into I'm going into the overalls for the IFBB Pro card.
It's insane.
Yeah, Roger, it was just surreal. I'm still pinching myself now.
So what will be the next step from now?
The next step is an IFBB Pro show. Just winning that, and then Mr. Olympia.
Okay.
So I'm 2 shows away from Mr. Olympia. 2
shows. Okay. Yeah. So how old are you now?
I'm going to be 45 in June.
45 in June.
Yeah.
How many years would you say you've got left in bodybuilding?
Wow. I don't know. I mean, because I'm looking at the guy who won the 2-on-2 last year. He was 47.
Right.
Yeah. Dexter Jackson's just decided to retire.
He's what, 50, isn't it?
50. Yeah.
50 years old.
Yeah.
And there's good reason why they call him the Blade, you know?
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Every single show, the dude looks incredible at 50.
Yeah.
So you're hoping to be the next Blade? Or not next Blade, but there's only one Blade, but
there's only one Blade. I've always wanted to emulate the same physique as Flex Wheeler.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that for me, that's the ultimate classic physique.
Incredible.
Yeah.
That is incredible. People say that bodybuilding is a lonely sport. Do you feel competing on the stage could affect your relationships with other people? Do you feel that as though it is a lonely sport or not?
I would say that it is a lonely sport, but I don't think it's the only lonely sport. I think fitness in general, I think because a lot of people think that when people go to the gym or train, the only thing they're training is their body. But it's just as emotional and educational and edifying as you know, anything else in terms of training your mind, because the determination and the focus that you have to have, it's not a physical thing. It's not manifest through lifting weights. It's a mental thing. So you find yourself in a place where you think differently to people. You look at things differently to other people. You know, I get up in the morning at 5:30 to train. Nobody tells me to do it.
Yeah.
Nobody's asking me to do it, you know. So when I get to work and I'm working with my staff team or with young people, you know, and sometimes you have to pass on the motivation that you have and that you've generated through your life in fitness. Through you know, having that determination to get up and do what you need to do what's necessary, it then translates into other things. So it is very lonely because not many people have that mindset.
You
know,
You mentioned that it's also in other areas of fitness. You feel as though it's not just bodybuilding, it's in fitness.
No, I mean, I watch boxers, you know, I watch footballers, you know, I watched a documentary on Ronaldo, and you know, his determination to practice and to make sure he is at the highest level, you know, and even Kobe Bryant, you know, they always said that he was always the first on the basketball court to practice, and then when everybody's going home, he's still there. You know, it's that mindset of, you know, being the only person who, and sometimes you are the only person. Sometimes you're lucky enough to have others around you, but usually, if you want to get to a certain level, you're the only one who will do that. You know?
Yeah. I've found that myself as well. Like I've had lots of training partners in the past, but it's like I'm always the last one standing.
Yeah.
And you know, I've always felt as though I don't want to get into a habit of, well, just being used to training with someone else. I don't mind doing it on the odd occasion as a bonus every once in a while, as the odd push here and there. But I don't want to get into a routine where I am used to someone else being there, because the moment they fall off, then I'm used to it now. Like they're falling off, now I'm gonna fall off. You know?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely feel to some degree it can be quite lonely. So you've moved over from, you trained in BNBF.
Yep.
Was it DFBA? What's it called?
UK DFBA.
UK DFBA. Muscle Mania.
Yeah.
And now IFBB.
Yeah. And then
Yeah. So, oh yeah, and there was Miami Pro as well, right?
Yeah.
For the
Briefly.
famed.
Yeah.
Briefly. I've done one show as well. Yeah, one show. When was that? I can't remember. It was like, I know it was 2011, and I just done it. I just wanted to do a show in the middle of prepping for WrestleMania Championship final. Everyone was talking about Fame UK, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go do it. Okay, so the things that are in common with the previous federations that you competed in was that they were all natural and tested shows, isn't it? So well, supposed to be natural, apparently. Muscle Mania, don't know about that. And that was one of the reasons I thought, you know what, forget this. I was like, look at the size of these guys. That's a liar. You know what I mean? What are you trying to tell me? Genetics? Ah, come on, man. That's the reason why I thought, you know what, forget this. Like, if I'm going to go into a show which is like, you know, just like untested, and we understand what's going on here, that's fine. Which is a reason why I decided, let me check out, was it WBFF? Because it seemed a bit more, I knew that loads of people decide that they're going to take stuff, but it was all a matter of the way you looked, and it wasn't like trying to look jacked up or anything like that.
Yeah, more presentation.
Yeah, exactly. Now, when I look at the types of bodies that are in IFBB, it's something out of this world. It's completely different from when you look at all the other shows. And the reason being is because a lot of the people there, or in fact, all of the pros, need to take some kind of performance enhancer to help them to achieve that certain look, to help them to maintain the muscle mass while they're doing the extreme diets, maintain maybe their testosterone levels during the diet as well, and maybe something to help to give them more protein synthesis. So moving over to IFBB, I'm sure you would have understood that this is a decision which I'm going to need to take. Okay, so when you made that decision to go over to IFBB, what was your initial thoughts when you wanted to compete with them? Like, your goal, what was it? Just to change federation, or was it you wanted to compete in the Olympia? Like, what was the goal there?
Yeah, 100%. My goal has always been to compete at the Olympia.
Right.
I think that there's been times when I've thought to myself, you know, I don't think I can do it. But I think there's always a situation where you overcome and you realize that you are actually better than you give yourself credit for.
Yeah.
When I won the British in 2016, I didn't get a pro card. I did write to them and ask them why I couldn't get a pro card. But they just said that they weren't giving pro cards out, and it was quite disappointing. I then the following year I did the Arnold Classic Europe, and I placed 4th in my category in that, and which was a pretty high standard because it was all of Europe. I was kind of drifting, but I realized that I'd fulfilled and I'd got to my peak in terms of size, in terms of what I could do. 2016, I'd just turned 40,
right.
And I was a natural. So I remember a guy came up to me after the British and he said, "You do realize that you're the only natural British champion?" And I was like, "For real, I am." You know, and but the thing is, I'd started training when I was 28, 29. So, you know, for those 11 years, you know, I'd pushed myself to my natural limit, and I'd noticed that like my weight, even when I dieted down, it would never be more than a certain amount.
Got you. Yeah.
You know, and so I knew that I'd reached my peak. I knew that I'd pushed every single muscle in my body to, you know, its natural peak, and you know, that showed in the fact that I actually won the British title as a natural.
Yeah.
Oh,
and at what point did you know that, okay, now I need to look into something which is going to give me an edge? And who is it you need to speak to find out what is the correct procedures to take when you are looking at like performance enhancers? Like, there's so much out there. Like, it's crazy. I've heard people tell me stuff I've never even heard of. There's the typical stuff which you hear all the time, growth hormone. I mean, steroids is like pretty obvious, but then you learn that there's loads of different types of steroids. Are there different types of testosterones, or is it just like one?
There's different types.
Oh, really? Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. I don't know, pro hormones and something called SARMs or something.
Yeah.
SARMs.
Yeah.
Man, I get people DMing me saying like, yeah, which one's the best one to take? I'm like, dude, I don't know. You're better off asking Google.
It's true. I think that's where people need to go.
Yeah. So,
But yeah.
yeah, and look, so you know, you've reached your natural peak, and you need to think about your health.
Yeah.
So, how do you make a decision in venturing in an area where you know you're going to need to take something and making sure that you're taking care of your health as well?
Well, the first thing is research and asking people who know medically about the different types of substances and different types of things that you can actually use. Because obviously it can be quite dangerous because you put in something into your body that is, you know, not naturally you do have natural testosterone and so on, but it's a foreign body that you're putting into yourself. So you do need to make sure you research and understand what it is that will work for you and what you need. And I was very lucky because, like I said, I'd reached my full potential. So I knew that I didn't need very much to take me to the next level. And when I say the next level, for me, it's probably about 10 to 15 pounds heavier than I was when I won the British. So I wouldn't need, so for example, a lot of the open bodybuilders, they'd probably use growth hormone. They'd probably use insulin. These are things that can be quite dangerous.
I understand insulin could be very dangerous, even on a natural sense. You want to take care of your insulin, but to do it synthetically?
Synthetically, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And growth hormone as well can be dangerous.
Yeah. I think
okay.
Yeah, with growth hormone, because our bodies are producing growth hormone, and with anything that you put in your body, if you have more than your body actually is producing, your body will start to shut its own production down. So when you do stop using it, your body's not producing growth hormone anymore at all. So it's the same with testosterone. If you're using too much testosterone, your body's going to say, well, I don't need to produce this. There's so much in my system.
Yeah, that I do know. It kind of down regulates as opposed to continuing on where it left off from. It won't do that. Right. But where is the part where it might be dangerous with the growth hormone? I didn't know about that.
Yeah, the thing with growth hormone, it's not so much actually using it, it's the people who actually abuse it.
Okay.
So with growth hormone, one other thing about it is, if you notice, some bodybuilders, as they get bigger, their chin's getting bigger, their head's getting bigger, their hands are getting bigger.
The hands too.
Yeah, and most importantly, what gets bigger is their heart.
Right.
So growth hormone doesn't distinguish between muscles or body parts. So if you're using growth hormone, everything's going to grow. So if your heart is overgrown, or if you could have a heart attack.
Oh, right.
So, yeah, so that's a lot of people who are using growth hormone or who use growth hormone. They're susceptible to heart attacks.
Okay.
You know, and that's where we get the distended stomachs as well, because every organ within your body is a muscle. So if you're using growth hormone, and like I said, it doesn't distinguish between muscles. It doesn't say, oh, your heart's not a muscle, it's not a bicep. You know, it doesn't say, you know, your lungs aren't a tricep.
It grows your voluntary and involuntary muscles as well.
That's right.
So, don't know if we could talk about your stack. Your stack. What is it? Okay, for you to compete, like what do you need to take, bro?
Right. Well, like I said, I won the British at 40 years old as a natural.
That's pretty amazing.
So from my perspective, when you reach to a certain age, testosterone levels are dropping off. Most people are getting hormone replacement treatment. For women, it's hormone replacement treatment. For men, it's TRT, testosterone replacement treatment. So,
right.
In terms of additional testosterone, it's more beneficial at that age. So that is a plus for me.
Got you.
In terms of what I use, I don't want people to go out and copy what I use.
You don't need to go into detail, but just yeah.
I use very, very little. And when I say little, I use the minimum because I'm in it for I want to get quality muscle rather than just rushed or, just blowing up for the sake of blowing up. And you're more likely to hold on to your muscle if that's the way you do it in a slower pace. But also, like I said, I'm only trying to put on 10 to 15 pounds of muscle to compete in the category I want to compete in, and that's classic physique.
Over what period of time are you hoping to achieve that, to gain that amount of muscle?
I've achieved it.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. You're there.
Yeah.
Chuck the stack away. So is it just the testosterone, or is there anything else that you would need to?
I use very little testosterone.
Okay.
In fact, most of the time I use something called Rad 140, which is it's like a SARM, but it's it just boosts your own testosterone, and also it is kind of a testosterone supplement.
Right. I've never heard of that. But what is a SARM anyway? I hear people talking about it. They say, oh, it's similar, but it's not quite a steroid. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't...
Yeah, it is a steroid. It is.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know all of the biological terms and so on, but it does act like a steroid. However, it's not something you have to inject. It's a tablet.
Oh, okay.
So,
what's your thoughts on the injectables and the non-injectables? I hear that, the ones you take as a tablet is pretty harmful for the liver.
Yeah, that's the problem. I think any tablet, and because you can have liver damage from, I remember last year I had a blood test and there was some issues with my kidney.
Right.
But it was because I was taking ibuprofen, high strength ibuprofen. I was taking 400 milligram tablets.
How often was you taking them?
All the time, because I was doing a lot of driving, and I had pain in my left knee. So I was just popping these pills just to get rid of this pain while I was driving.
Oh my God, seriously?
Yeah. So, I just went through a period where I was just using ibuprofen, and it showed up on my my tests. And that's another thing, making sure that you get tested regularly so you know exactly what's going on with your body. So that's one thing I do. Yeah.
How often should a person get tested when they need to have a cycle or whatever when competing?
I think most people have like a 12 to 18 week cycle.
Okay.
I think you should get tested at the beginning, middle, and then end of your cycle. So you can see what's happening, how it's affected you. Would you need to back off, and so on. And just making sure it's right for you.
What sort of tests should a person do? Should they have like just a blood test, or should there be any other tests?
It should be a blood test, but there are other tests that people can do. I think one of the things that I was supposed to have this week is an X-ray,
Right.
because although because I've been training since for the last 16 years, and the impact on my joints, and like I said, I was having pain in my knees last year. So I'll have X-rays. I'll make sure, but because of this Corona thing, I've just avoided the hospital.
Are you sure they'd even take you? I've heard that they just shut, like, unless you got the virus, they don't want to hear.
Well, that's it.
Even
It's
then.
supposed to be today. Yeah, it's supposed to be today. I didn't even call. I just didn't go. So yeah, I'd get X-rays just to see if my joints are okay. Making sure that you know, I'll get regular checkups with like massage therapists and so on.
Yeah,
just making sure that, you know, I'm in good nick, because you know, it is a selfish sport, but at the end of the day, you know, I'm a single dad, you know, so I've got to make sure that you know, I'm around for as long as possible.
that's it, man. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried red light therapy?
No, I've heard of it, but I've never tried it.
Just click the link in my bio and use my discount. No joke, but just click the link in my bio and just check it out. Have a look. Like, it's really cool, man. It helps with like reduce inflammations which you might have in the body. Helps with like cellular health. Helps to boost your mitochondria. I remember I used to, because I've got like a red light panel in my office in my house, and for years I used to have I don't know if it was a dodgy knee, but I used to have an acute pain in my right knee, and it was there for years, but it wasn't terrible. It was like I'd feel it in the morning always, so I'd get out of bed and I would limp on one leg, and then after warming up, then it would go. I wouldn't need to think about it. But if I was sitting in a spot, especially when I was on a plane, if I was sitting on a plane for a long period, when I get up, I would feel it. Right. But the moment I started to use this red light panel and shine it on my knee, I was like, hopefully this will get rid of it. And I was using it and using it and using it. And then one day when I got out of the bed, it was like, I was so used to limping. It was just a natural thing. I would limp. And I was like, that's weird. I didn't limp. And it was almost like I was trying to find the pain to confirm that I should limp, if that makes sense. So I was searching for it. I was like, why can't I feel it? Like, where is it gone? And then that was until I realized, well, actually, the red light therapy must be working, because I haven't felt it for a few days, but it just didn't register. I didn't think about it. Yeah. So it might be something worth looking into. Yeah. There's loads of different like red light therapy panels. You've got some which have like a directional light that you can shine directly in whatever spot you want to work on. Yeah. And also you got like massive panels where you can shine the whole light on your whole body. Okay. Yeah. So it doesn't just work on the surface, but it actually works on a cellular level, cellular level as well, because that's how it boosts your mitochondria. And it helps to, the panels as well have like the, not just a red light, but it has infrared, like near infrared. So penetrates the skin and does some miraculous stuff. So definitely have a read into that. You know, if you, last thing you want to be doing is taking painkillers, man. I've heard some horror stories. There's some horror stuff.
I know. Those are gone, man.
What was that?
Those days are gone, man.
Good. Have you ever done a DNA test before?
No. I know who my parents are.
Oh, okay. Talking about your kid, no joke. No, like there's some amazing DNA tests where you can learn a lot about whether you have like genetic predispositions and stuff like that. Yeah. I've done one on myself where I learned I've got one of my predispositions is something called APOE4, which is for it's the genetic mutation for Alzheimer's. So so I've been blessed with that. So basically what that means for me is although I have the predisposition, it means that I just need to be careful with whatever I do in my life, you know?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
It's all lifestyle factors, like you know, when it comes to genetics a lot of the time. The reason why I brought this up is because sometimes it might be worth it to have a look and see what genetic predispositions you might have, or what potential you might have, or disadvantages you might have, so that you are able to like work on these things accordingly. So one of my DNA tests, I learned the sort of training principles that I should incorporate. So for instance, there was a test which showed my endurance to power ratio, and my power was 60 and power was 60, endurance was 40. So what I started to do was I started to change my training routine. I reduced the amount of repetitions I was doing and just increased the sets. And then from there, I noticed my body started to grow so much quicker. My strength started to increase.
Yeah.
And I think it was because when I used to sprint when I was younger, I used to do lots of high repetitions. You're right there.
Yeah. Just dropped a note for me.
But yeah, you know, understanding what type of training would work best for my genetics determined the choices that I made. But yeah, it might be worth looking into. Reason why I say that is because environmental factors can determine what your genes are going to do. So if you have a genetic mutation, then, like for instance, I've got the APOE4 for Alzheimer's. If I start to right there,
Frozen.
Oh really?
Hello, still there?
I'm still here. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still here.
Yeah.
So if I decide to sleep really badly, if I stop training my mind through kind of like cognitive exercises, if I stress a lot, if I eat like nutrient deficient food, and I don't know, start taking drugs, recreational, then these could be trigger factors to switch on the APOE4 genetic mutation.
Right.
So it might be good to look into, all right, do you have any certain things in your genetics?
Yeah. 100%.
You know what I'm saying? That could work to your advantage, but might work to your disadvantage if you do certain things, you know?
I need to do it, Roger. I really do. Two of my family members, my two sisters passed away from heart conditions, which they haven't been able to identify.
Right.
So that really sounds like something I need to do.
Really important. So when you say family members, like how close? Like what are they? Auntie, cousin, what?
Sisters.
Sisters. Oh.
Yeah.
Right. What about your parents? So your parents had any issues?
My mum had a few strokes.
Right.
And eventually when she passed away, it was after multiple strokes. My dad's quite healthy. My older sister, she passed away. She was at the hospital with my older sister, who was pregnant at the time, holding her hand, and they said her eyes just rolled back in her head and she was gone. And then my other sister, she just didn't wake up.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, how many sisters are we talking about here? Well, just the two. Yeah.
Just two sisters, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they all both heart conditions.
Yeah, but the second occasion, I think that they were saying that it was a possible aneurysm for my older sister who passed away first. Then the second sister who passed away, they sent her heart away for examination, and they didn't seem to find any reason for her passing. They said it was something called sudden arthritic disease. So it had something to do with the rhythm of the heart.
Right.
So not many people actually die from it, but they were saying that they assume it was that because they couldn't find anything else. So yeah, DNA test sounds like something I need to get my head into. Yeah.
Absolutely. You can get so a couple of them I done, and one of them was a real comprehensive test. I can send you a PDF and you can see mine. Okay. There's so much in there, like pages and pages. So the report has about 500 different markers or something. Like, they can even tell you about personality traits. Certain gifts, but they've also got like, because some people will be like, I don't know about the research on that. But they also have something in there. What do they call it? It's almost like the strength of their research. So they'll give a number between maybe 1 to 5, and they'll say, you know, on the strength of the research, we'll give it a 3 or a 4 or a 5, or, you know, if it's a 2, then it's up to you as to whether you feel it's sufficient enough research on them putting, piecing the information of your DNA together. But it's really cool. You definitely get a lot out of it. I'll definitely send that across so you can have a look at mine.
Definitely.
One last question I wanted to ask is, so newbies, you got people who join the gym all the time, and I'm sure you get a lot of people asking you questions. If someone is, I don't know, has been training in the gym for a little bit, and they want to get a little assistance from some enhancers, what would your advice be to those people?
I'd say, you know, try and get the full potential from your physique before you even consider anything else. You know, are you sleeping enough? Are you training enough? Are you eating enough? You know, I mean, like I said, when I'm training for competition, I'm training twice a day. You know, if you're not training twice a day, you're not actually. Or actually, there was one point where I was doing cardio in the morning, training, cardio at lunchtime, then going back in the evening, training and cardio again. You know, so I was maxing out. You know, and I would say to people, unless you're maxing out, why are you going to even consider putting something else in your body? You know, if you're not sticking to your diet plan, like, you know, hardcore, if you're not training and pushing yourself on a daily basis, and if you're not, you know, taking it to the next level physically, why then are you going to consider anything else? If you're doing that, you will see results. You know, you will see results. And I'd say to them, you know, when you get to the point where you want to do this as a living, or you want to do this as a career, or you're in a position where you feel that you could be Mr. Olympia, then, you know, I'd go for it. But at the same time, I'd also say, I've also said to guys, you know, you're in your 20s, you know, your body's producing amino acids and testosterone that I can only dream about, you know. So while you've got it, while it's happening, make the most of it. You know, when you start to run out of it, maybe then consider. But you know, I'd give anything to be back in my 20s and train. You know, because if I knew what I know now in my 20s, you know, I would have ate religiously. I would have trained religiously and got the most out of my physique then. You know, so yeah.
Amazing. No, thanks a lot, man. That's golden right there. And it's pretty amazing that you only decided that you was going to do it in your 40s after you reached your potential. And that is only after competing in the IFBB. So, no, man, kudos. No,
Yeah.
that's epic.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot, man. Like, where can everybody find you? I know you're on Instagram. What's your Instagram handle so everybody knows?
It's Drew DRU and Drew _ IFBB Pro.
All right. And are you on Facebook as well? Do you have a page?
I'm on Facebook and Twitter.
Okay.
You can find me as Drew Fitness.
All right.
So even if you Google Drew Fitness, one of them will come up, or all of them will come up.
All right, cool. Well, I'll put them in the notes anyway, so people can just like click on it and just go straight to your pages and see what you get up to, man, and just learn some more nuggets from you. Like, you're always giving some great tips. I've seen some of your YouTube videos in the past. There was one, I remember ages ago, you done one on cinnamon.
Yes.
I don't even know if you even remember that. Yeah, and I swear after watching that, shortly afterwards, I bought some cinnamon. I've been using it like religiously ever since. So people got to know Drew knows his stuff.
Cheers, brother.